Hi all, we're going to fire our first bead today, so let me talk to you about safety first. There aren't a whole lot of safety considerations, but they're important nonetheless. You may want to wear a dust mask. It's nothing technical, it's not really a super sophisticated respirator, but even though we do reduce the amount of enamel dust that's created with this technique, there will be some. If you have any kinds of respiratory conditions, I would definitely recommend this. The other thing that you're going to want to think about are your eyes. Lamp workers use glasses, didymium glasses, that help to they reduce the sodium flare that comes off of the flame when they're firing glass. We do not get that bright flare with the enamel, so simple sunglasses are fine. You can get these, just your regular sunglasses are going to be fine for this. So I wouldn't get anything more than that. The welding glasses that you can get at the store are going to reduce too much of the light, so you're not going to be able to see your bead. The other thing is that never walk away from your torch if it's lit. If you have the gas on, always light the torch. Don't allow the gas to keep escaping before you light it. It's pretty simple. The gas is heavier than air, so the gas will settle near your work area, and if there were any kind of a spark, that could cause an explosion. But it's pretty much common sense. More people get burned from touching a hot bead than anything else. You'll have a series of beads. You're going to have a bunch of beads in here, and sometimes you don't know which is the one you put in last, so you're going to reach in and you could touch that. So just beware, beware of that. Rarely, do people ever get hurt by the flame. It's really just touching. As far as burns, it's touching hot beads. The other thing is that you're going to want to address the topic of ventilation, because you need to have fresh air coming into your space, and you need to have the air recirculating, the bad air going out, the good air coming in. Before I had my ventilation system put in, I used to just put a fan in the window, sit beneath the window and enamel. But you need to do research on your own to find out what what conditions you have in your firing studio, how much air you can get in there, and but it's going to be really up to you to assure your safety. So do some research on that. There's a lot on the internet. Start with the lamp working sites, and that's where you're going to find most of your good information. So let's go ahead and talk about fuel. MAP gas is the optimum fuel, and it is, propane can be used also, but it's not quite as hot as MAP gas. The thing about propane is that I find it a little less forgiving in terms of firing the bead. MAP gas, what we're going to be doing is, and you'll see this when I start the torch. The torch has an outer blue cone of the flame. I'm sorry, it's yellow. The outer cone is yellow. The inner cone is blue. We're going to be having our bead right at the tip of the inner blue cone of the flame. Now that's about 2.5 to 3 inches from the end of the torch nozzle. When you're firing MAP gas and you're at the optimum place, you're at the tip of the blue cone of the flame, which is the hottest part of the flame. It's also the most well oxygenated part of the flame. You're going to get clear, bright colors, but sometimes our hands can kind of drift down like this, and you're still going to get pretty good colors, even if you come down here. If you do the same thing with propane, you're going to start getting muddy colors right about here. So that would be the difference. Butane is not hot enough, nor do the butane torches have a bushy enough flame. So that's really it as far as the safety. The stainless steel mandrel, stainless steel does not conduct heat, so the mandrel is going to stay cool in your hand. And so we're going to go ahead and just talk about the technique, the firing technique. When we're firing our bead, we want the bead to be about 1/4 of an inch from the end of the mandrel. And the reason for that is it's going to make it easier for us to dip the bead in here. If the bead is way back here, it's going to be harder. Not only that, this whole area here is going to get filled up with enamel. We're going to be dipping our bead 3 times to get adequate coverage, and that's going to fill up with enamel, so that when we go to remove the bead, all of that enamel has to go somewhere, and it usually goes in to filling the hole, that end of the bead, the hole at that end of the bead. So when I get email questions from students about, you know, why is one end of my bead, the hole closed, that's the reason. The way I like to sit at the torch, I think that's the most comfortable way to sit, is straddle the MAP gas canister, and you can have your arms on the counter, you know, in your work area. The only danger zone for the torch is here. You can have your hands here, you can have it here, you can have it here, just not out in the front. So feel free to move around your torch with your hands. As your comfort level improves, your movements are going to change, and it's going to be reflected in your movements at the torch. I am right-handed, so I keep the canister of enamel in my left hand. The bead is going to be in my right hand. This is where all of the action is going to be taking place right here. I'm going to be quenching the mandrel in between beads with the water. So let's go ahead and get started. Turn the knob to the left. All of, you know, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, so we're going to let the gas escape, so we're going to turn the knob to the left. And we're going to press the button. Now, there's a spark on the inside of this torch that ignites the flame. Okay, so we're at the tip of the inner blue cone of the flame. That's the hottest area. And all I'm doing is just moving. I have this mandrel between my fingers, and I'm just going back and forth between my forefinger and my thumb. I'm going to heat this until it glows orange. Now these beads are solid. I mean, they're no filigree, they're no cutouts, so it takes a little bit longer for it to heat. When it glows orange, I'm going to dip it in the enamel. Tap it. Now you've noticed that the bead has moved a little bit further back on the mandrel. What I want to do is I want to move it down. But now I've lost heat now, so I need to heat it back up again. Just spinning it around. Dip it. Tap. Okay, now we've got 3 coats of enamel on here. Now we're going to take the bead off of the mandrel. What we're going to do is we're going to push the bead forward. Now what that did is it broke the adhesions from where the bead was sticking to the mandrel. What I want to show you here, give you a close-up. David, can you get in a little bit closer, because I want to show them what the threads look like. Can you see those enamel threads that are forming there? You want to sear those off. Okay. So now we're going to pull the bead off the mandrel. There we go. Let's do another one. Be careful of this stuff right here. Don't scrape that off with your finger. All right? Just use your bead foam station. Or you can use a green scrubby to do that. All I'm doing is rotating the bead in the flame. There we go. Really starting to heat up now. Tap it on the edge of the container. Now you see that the bead has moved forward down on the mandrel. I'm going to push it down towards the end. I'm going to do 2 more coats of enamel. When the bead starts to glow orange, don't continue to heat it. You either apply more enamel or take the bead off the mandrel. Tap it. Push the bead forward, break the adhesions where the bead connects to the mandrel. you go. So let's, we've got the bead. Well, there's the bead right now. Now, if I were to touch that, I would burn myself. The other bead fell out here on the on this work area, so that's hot. The thing with the Orient Red enamel is that the enamel will look black when you're firing it, and as it cools, it will become red. So you can see the difference. Now that looks very much like the color in there. So the colors are pretty close to what you're going to get, but during the firing process, some of the colors will change. You know, will change and they'll look different when they cool. All right? So there you go. You fired your first bead. And just go ahead and continue doing that. We're going to fire some more of these cute little beads. We're going to make a tricolored bead now. These beads are 10 millimeters and the opening is 3 millimeters. They're made out of iron, and that's really it. They're really nice, simple beads. So what we're going to do is I need to take a little pinch of this and just put that on my work area. I'm going to start my torch. Let me show you something, how to start your torch. This has a self-igniting feature, but if that's not working, let's see if it will work. No, it's not working. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to light the match. We're going to turn on the gas. We're going to bring the match up from beneath, and we're going to raise it until it lights. There you go. Now remember, we're at the tip of the blue cone of the flame, the inner blue cone, heating it, just spinning it. Now, I want to tell you something, that we're not tickling the surface of the enamel with the bead. We are really dredging it in here. That way we can make sure we get the top and bottom covered. So we've got one coat of enamel on the bead. Here comes the second coat. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to come in perpendicular to the enamel. Now we have a bead that is two-colored, what is that? Two-tone, there you go. Okay, now we're going to roll the circumference in Daphne. Now the colors that I used, the red is Orient Red, 1870, the grape is 1780, and Daphne is 1620. Push the bead forward to break the adhesions, sear off the enamel threads to give us a clean finish on that one end. Pull the bead off. This is going to change slightly because, like I told you before, is Orient Red will look black until it cools. This will just come right off. This will just wipe right off the vermiculite. Let's do another one since we're having so much fun. Let's see. Let's try this combination. But you know what? Let's kind of mix these a little bit. Okay, now we can try to get that back on. Oh, there we go. Or we could just take it off and start over. Now I need to pull the bead down further on the mandrel because it's been pushed back now. Pull it down. Let's do one more coat of grape. Let's go in perpendicular to Daphne. So let's roll roll the circumference in Orient Red and Daphne. Oops. Okay, there's the thread. That will come off. All right, here are our beads. This is the one that was fired with the Orient Red, the grape, and then this had Daphne around the circumference. And this was fired with the grape and the Daphne with the Orient Red around the circumference. So there are some differences. Now, this is the beginning of a pair of earrings. I'm sorry, a pair of earrings with this type of bead. Now, this is a two-color bead. This is robin's egg that was just rolled in mocha enamel. And we're going to learn how to do these twisty tendrils and the head pins. All right, so there you go. That's our first lesson. So get busy.